In the frozen heart of ancient Karelia, where pine forests whispered secrets to the biting wind and vast lakes held the sky like dark mirrors, a people lived whose every day was threaded with myth and magic. This was the world of the Kalevala, the grand Finnish epic born from centuries of sung verses, a tapestry of heroes, sorcery, and heartbreak. At its center stands Väinämöinen, the ageless sage, master of words that could shape reality itself. Legends say he was born of the sea, his beard white as river ice, his eyes deep with the knowledge of forgotten ages. With his voice alone he could topple ancient trees, hush raging storms, or weave fates tighter than any rope. Yet power like his carried danger, for even the wisest can speak words that cut deeper than steel. The tale begins with Joukahainen, a hot-blooded young warrior and brother to the beautiful Aino. Full of youthful fire, he sped across snow-covered plains on swift skis, bow across his back, hungry for fame that would outshine the old legends. One crisp day, beneath a low sun burning red against the horizon, he crossed paths with Väinämöinen on a lonely trail. The sage walked slowly, humming ancient runes that made the air shimmer. Joukahainen, pride blazing, hurled a challenge. "Old man," he mocked, "your stories are faded echoes. I know the paths of the stars and the secrets buried in the earth's roots." Väinämöinen's eyes narrowed, a quiet storm gathering. He accepted. His song started soft, recounting the world's birth, the raising of the heavens from chaos. Joukahainen tried to match him, but his boasts rang hollow. Furious, the youth knocked arrows and loosed them, only for the sage's protective chant to turn them aside like leaves in wind. Then Väinämöinen's true power rose. His voice thundered, the ground trembled, and the firm earth melted into sucking mire. Joukahainen sank knees, waist, chest, neck trapped in freezing mud. Terror seized him. "Mercy!" he screamed, voice cracking. "Name your price to free me!" The sage considered. Joukahainen offered treasures, his fastest steed, keenest blade, family lands, all refused. In desperation he cried, "Take my sister Aino as your wife. She is lovely as morning light, pure as new-fallen snow." Väinämöinen, lonely across endless years, agreed. The spell broke. Joukahainen crawled free, soaked and broken, and skied home carrying the weight of his words. At their simple home among snow-laden pines, he confessed. His mother wept tears that froze on her face. His father bowed his head in grief. Aino, hidden in shadow, heard everything. Her world cracked open. She was no bargaining chip, she was alive with light. Golden hair tumbling to her waist, eyes the color of deep summer lakes, spirit wild and free as the wind through birches. Days were spent weaving birch bark baskets, picking berries beneath the endless daylight, singing soft songs that drew birds to her hands. To wed an ancient immortal, it felt like a tomb disguised as honor. Days turned heavy. Her parents, chained by the sacredness of a given word, pressed her. "Väinämöinen is legend," her mother murmured, brushing her hair with shaking fingers. "He offers wonders beyond mortal dreams." Aino saw only bars. She wandered woods, feet sinking into moss, breathing sharp pine scent. Birds fell silent around her sorrow. At the lake shore, where water lapped like a slow heartbeat, she whispered to the waves, "Why do words bind me like this?" Her reflection trembled back. Väinämöinen came soon, announced by sudden stillness in the trees. He brought gifts, runes carved on pale birch, promising youth and secret knowledge. His voice, gentle now, spoke of journeys side by side, of mastering wilderness together. To Aino every promise felt like a thorn. She ran to her room, curled tight under furs, sobs quiet and fierce. That night the family ate. Her place stayed empty, eyes lost among stars. As wedding preparations grew, tension coiled tighter. Her mother draped her in fine silks from far traders, jewels cold and glittering like hoarfrost. The splendor weighed like shackles. "You shine," her mother said. Aino felt only captivity. Before dawn, under shifting green curtains of aurora, she chose. She would not bend. Slipping into night, she ran to the lake, breath clouding, heart hammering. At water's edge, she stripped away every mark of ownership, the gown, the ornaments. Cold air stung skin like needles. The lake called, dark and endless. With one last look at stars, she dove. Icy water closed over her, arms pulling her deeper. Numbness came, but freedom bloomed. Memories flashed, childhood laughter, dreams of equal love. The cage she fled. As breath failed, the Kalevala's deep magic stirred. Her body shimmered, melted into foam and light, reborn as silver salmon gliding through hidden currents. Väinämöinen, warned by dark omens, raced to shore. He cast an enchanted line. Something struck hard. He hauled up a magnificent fish, scales flashing like moonlight on water. Reaching to claim it, the salmon spoke in Aino's clear voice. "Foolish old man, you tried to own what only wants to run free." With a flash it twisted free, vanishing into depths, leaving the sage on his knees, face wet with more than lake water. The sorrow spread like frost across still water. The once peaceful lake now held a quiet grief. Every ripple carried Aino's name, every gust her silenced cry. Fishermen soon spoke in hushed tones of a swift silver salmon that appeared on moonlit nights, bringing fortune to the humble, vanishing from the greedy. Villages began small rites at the shore. Flowers tossed on waves, soft songs offered to calm her spirit. Joukahainen, eaten by guilt, left boasting behind. He became a solitary wanderer, returning often to the lake to lay birch bark scraps inscribed with runes of apology, hoping somehow she heard. Väinämöinen carried the wound deepest. His ancient heart, so long armored in wisdom, cracked open. He composed new verses slower, shadowed singing of fair Aino lost to waves, her laughter now the sigh of wind over water. Those songs traveled, woven into the runic traditions sung at firesides across the land. In the wider weave of the Kalevala, this tragedy formed a turning point. Väinämöinen's loneliness, sharpened by loss, drove him toward greater quests. He sought the Sampo, a wondrous mill forged to grind endless grain, salt, and gold, symbol of bounty that might ease the emptiness Aino left behind. That search would lead him to the dark north, to Pohjola and its fierce mistress Louhi, where old bargains echoed the one Joukahainen had made in panic. Water in Finnish lore is never simple giver of life, taker of breath, mirror of soul. Aino's plunge was both ending and beginning, purification through surrender, rebirth as nature's own wild spirit. Her brief return to mock the sage underlined a cruel truth: even immortals can be blind to another's freedom. She became the untouchable current, forever beyond grasp. Through centuries this tale echoed. Modern Finland still feels it. Sibelius poured its melancholy into swelling strings in his Aino symphony, waves crashing in every measure. Festivals reenact her flight, dancers in white flowing like foam, fleeing across stages toward imagined water. Artists paint her golden hair merging with lake light, her form half woman, half fish, eyes defiant and sad. Some old variants whisper she never fully left. In fog or twilight, she might rise as mist to guide true lovers away from forced matches, or warn young women when words of ownership are spoken. Her story stands as quiet rebellion against chains disguised as duty, a reminder that consent is sacred, that pride and haste birth lasting pain. Väinämöinen sat long by dying fires after, staring into flames. Words that wound, he murmured once to the night, heal more slowly than any scar. He learned, at last, that true power lies not in binding others, but in letting them choose their path, even if that path leads away forever. The Kalevala holds many triumphs, but this thread is tragedy's purest hue. Pride sparks disaster, resistance carves freedom at great cost, and sorrow lingers in the elements themselves. Aino did not vanish, she became the lake, the river, the sea's endless voice, weeping softly so the land would never forget. The emotional weight settles now as we trace the final ripples of Aino's fate across time and meaning. In the Kalevala, gathered by Elias Lönnrot from fading oral songs, tales like this served as living lessons mirrors held up to human flaws so listeners might choose better. Aino's anguish reflects real pressures on women in those ancient communities. Marriages arranged for alliance or honor, individual will often sacrifice to collective survival. Her refusal, fierce and final, speaks across ages as assertion of self. After her transformation, the natural world seemed to remember her differently. Fishermen swore the salmon brought double luck to those who fished with gentle hearts, while nets cast in greed came up empty or torn. Lakeside stones received carved runes of remembrance. Families left milk and bread at water's edge during full moons, hoping to ease her unrest. Joukahainen's path turned toward quiet atonement. Once loud with challenge, he grew silent, helping lost travelers, sharing hard-won lessons of humility. In rare visions granted by the lake, he glimpsed her brief, misty form nodding once before fading, offering the forgiveness he craved but never fully accepted. Väinämöinen's scar shaped his later deeds. The quest for the Sampo became partly penance, a way to create abundance that might fill voids words had carved. Battles with Louhi and her dark forces tested him anew, but he moved with more caution, weighing each chant before it left his lips. Symbolism runs deep here. Water embodies duality in Finnish myth, cradle and grave, reflection and erasure. Aino's immersion cleansed her of imposed fate, remaking her as pure element, wild, fluid, untamed. Her parting laughter at Väinämöinen stings with justice. The mighty learn through loss what they could not see through power. The story's reach stretches far beyond old songs. Today it inspires paintings of shimmering transitions, poems of quiet defiance, music that crashes like waves. It warns against treating people as currency, against assuming wisdom, excuses, coercion. In a world still wrestling with forced roles and silenced voices, Aino remains relevant, a figure of escape, costumed in sorrow. Imagine sitting by firelight in a Karelian cabin centuries ago, hearing an elder lower his voice at this part, the sage kneeling, the salmon slipping away, the water beginning its eternal lament. Listeners felt chills not from cold alone, but from recognition, how easily pride or desperation can shatter lives, how long the echo lasts. In the end, this is no simple tragedy. It is caution wrapped in beauty. Words wielded carelessly wound deepest. Freedom sometimes demands everything, and nature remembers our mistakes long after we are gone. Aino's sorrow became the lake's voice, singing softly so future generations would listen twice before speaking promises they cannot keep. We draw the threads together now for the story's full arc beginning, middle, and end in one unbroken breath. It starts with reckless pride, Joukahainen racing over frozen plains, skis hissing, heart ablaze with need to prove himself greater than legend. He meets Väinämöinen, challenges the eternal sage to a singing duel of wisdom. His boasts collapse. The old man's runes turn earth to mire. Sinking, desperate, Joukahainen barters his sister's future for his life. Aino beautiful, pure take her as bride. The sage accepts. The pledge is made, words spoken that cannot be unsaid. The middle swells with mounting anguish. Aino, radiant with youth golden hair, lake blue eyes, spirit untamed overhears the bargain. Betrayal cuts deep. Parents, bound by honor, urge acceptance. He offers wonders. She sees prison. She flees to woods, weeps at water's edge, pleads with spirits. Väinämöinen woos with gifts and poetry, but every verse feels like rope. Preparations bury her in silks and jewels heavy as chains. Under Aurora's green dance she decides, no surrender. She runs through snow, strips at lake shore, dives into icy embrace. Deeper she swims until breath fails. Magic wake's body dissolves, reforms as silver salmon, free in hidden currents. The end arrives in confrontation and quiet aftermath. Väinämöinen, drawn by omens, casts his line. A mighty salmon strikes. He pulls it up, marvels, then it speaks in Aino's voice. You wanted to own the untamable. It slips away, mocking him one last time. He kneels, tears mingling with lake water. The waters change forever, every wave whispers her name, every storm her grief, every calm her hard-won peace. Fishermen tell of the lucky salmon, villages offer gifts to her spirit. Joukahainen turns hermit, leaving apologies at shore. Väinämöinen, wiser through pain, tempers his power, turns to seek the Sampo to mend what words broke. Thus, the circle closes. Pride ignites disaster. Resistance buys freedom at ultimate price. Sorrow settles into nature itself. Aino is not gone, she is the element now, the murmuring lake, the rushing river, the endless sea. Her final words echo as warning. Guard your speech, honor another's will, for careless vows birth grief that outlives flesh. Around ancient fires, elders ended this tale softly. Words wound deepest of all, but they can heal too, if spoken with care. Väinämöinen learned that lesson kneeling on cold mud. The Kalevala carries it forward, a thread of light and shadow reminding us that every choice ripples outward, and some echoes never fade.